Hello, my name is Linda Dollard, and I am currently the National Council President. I have been a Vincentian for 18 years, having held several leadership roles, including Secretary, Conference President, Particular Council President, and Ontario Regional Council President. I have been doing home visits for the past 8 years and have probably done about 500 home visits or more to date. I'm still very involved with my home conference in London, Ontario, and do home visits every second week, which I do enjoy very much. Now, when I do this presentation in person, I like to get to know the audience and who is listening to the presentation. So normally I will ask people to raise their hand if they have been involved with the society for less than 5 years, so that I understand who is there. Then I will ask people to raise their hands if they've been a member with St. Vincent de Paul for between 5 to 10 years. Then I will ask for people to raise their hand if they have been with the society for between 10 to 20 years. And then lastly, I will ask people to raise their hand if they have been with the society for more than 20 years. I also ask people to raise their hand if they have previously done home visits during their time with the society. And then lastly, I will ask people to raise their hand if they are currently doing home visits in their role with the society. I will then call upon 2 or 3 people to share how their time of service with the society has impacted their life and what they hope to learn during the presentation. So what will we cover today? We will cover what is a home visit, the Vincentian qualities necessary to do home visits, conducting a quality home visit and the preparation prior to doing the visit. We will review some home visit scenarios, and we will talk about post-home visit. So the spirituality of the home visit, very important. We are profoundly touched and transformed by the home visit. When going on home visits, we let go and go outside of our comfort zone. We let go of our sense of being in control, and we come face to face with our own vulnerability. Our Vincentian hearts are formed and softened when doing a home visit, and we grow in spirituality following Christ's example, bringing hope to those who we serve. After doing the home visit, ask yourself these questions. Where was God present in this visit, either in the person you visited, in the partner with whom you did the home visit, or in yourself? I can definitely say that my heart was transformed once I started doing home visits, listening to the stories of those being visited. This resulted in my own personal spiritual growth and deepening my relationship with God. Now, I will share just one home visit that I have been on. And this happened a couple of years ago. I visited a single mother with 3 young children, aged 3 to 10 years old. She was living in an apartment. And after knocking on the door of her apartment and she answered the door, I introduced myself and my partner, stating that we were with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul and could we come in. She let us into her apartment, and I thanked her for inviting us into her home. And as soon as we went in, we entered the living room. No furniture in the living room at all. There were blankets on the floor, and this is where the children were sleeping. They had no beds. We asked if we could go into the kitchen and the bedrooms just to see what she had and what she needed. And again, no kitchen table, no chairs, nothing in the bedroom, no dresser, no furniture at all. And listening to her story and talking to her as to her needs, we quickly went to work and we issued a voucher so that she could receive furniture and beds for the children, as well as food cards, so she could go to the grocery store and buy food for her family. The furniture and the beds were delivered the very next day. And the next time we visited her, she was so appreciative of the help that the society gave her and her children. There's many of these stories, and I'm sure anybody listening to this presentation has many stories to share. I could share many more stories, but that's just one that I wanted to share with you today. So what is a home visit? The rule of the society states that our founder, Blessed Frederick Ozanam, and his friends emphasized love of God and love of neighbor. This love was expressed by the development of conferences whose purpose was to visit people in need in their homes. The Canadian rule states that home visitation is a fundamental activity of the Society and has been carried out in pairs since the beginning of the Society in the 1830s. Through the home visit, we have personal contact, a personal encounter with people in need. This is how the Society is unique and different from other social organizations. We have a conversation and build relationships with the person, the family we are visiting. It is not just a food delivery service. We help in all possible ways as stated in our mission and values. Not everyone can conduct a home visit. It is important to have certain Vincentian qualities to be comfortable doing home visits, which we will talk about. For those who are not able to do home visits, there are many other ways you can help. For those with financial skills, you can help with bookkeeping and the treasurer role. For those with administrative skills, you can help with the secretarial role, taking minutes and sending out agendas to meetings. Those interested in social justice issues can assist with social justice initiatives. There are many works you can be involved with. So when I do this presentation in person, I ask the attendees, what are some Vincentian qualities needed to do home visits? And these are the different qualities that I hear from the attendees that attend. Being non-judgmental, being compassionate, having patience, being loving and kind, being respectful, being a good listener, listening to the person you're visiting, being open-minded and having an open heart, and being willing to help in all possible ways. We must suspend judgments to be able to really hear and understand the story of the person, family we are visiting. We must listen, empathize, and be fully present and recognize our own personal bias, prejudices, and judgments. Listening is often the greatest gift we can give to another individual. Treat those we are visiting as a fellow brother or sister of Christ and meet them where they are with no judgments at all. Our role as Vincentians is to nourish, encourage, assist, support, stimulate, and empower those who we visit. The grace of home visits leads us to a deeper awareness of how to live our Vincentian virtues of humility, simplicity, gentleness, selflessness, and zeal. These virtues are molded into our hearts. Which quality do you find is the most difficult to deal with? And again, when doing this in person, I will ask people to share which quality they find is the most difficult to deal with. Myself, I overcome emotions and feelings that I should not have by asking the question, what would Jesus do? So now we will talk a little bit about the process of a home visit. At my conference in London, Ontario, and I believe many conferences have a designated phone line for the Society on the parish phone where people calling for food assistance can leave a message. It is important to have a friendly and welcoming voice on the answering machine, and that the person returning the call also should have a friendly and welcoming voice. It is sometimes very difficult for people to pick up the phone and ask for help, and so the message and person returning the call should help make that person requesting assistance feel comfortable. The voicemail message should ask the person to leave their name, address, and telephone number, and then a designated person can retrieve these messages from their home to call the person back and arrange for assistance to be provided. We have someone designated who returns these calls or divides them up amongst the home visiting teams, and one of the persons assigned the visit will return the call and provide a time when the visit will be made. Always visit in pairs. It is also important to pray before the visit, which helps to eliminate distractions in our life. Ask in the prayer that you will have an open mind and open heart during the visit and conduct yourself as Jesus expects. Prayer is personal. so you can pray individually or along with your partner. At my conference, we have a printed prayer that my partner and I pray together before starting the home visit. This prayer can be found in the Canadian Rule and Statutes on page 167. We will now go through some scenarios of home visits that you might encounter. I will ask that you reflect on your thoughts as I describe each scenario to you and which Vincentian home visit quality might be challenged in the scenario, and how can you overcome any negative thoughts you might be experiencing. So in this scenario, you arrive at a property of a family to visit, which is a public housing project. There's a row of houses. The yards are littered with grass and weeds overgrown. As you approach the door of the family you are visiting, the door is damaged, the screen is missing, and doorbell wires are exposed. So when doing this presentation in person, I ask people to share what they are thinking, what they are feeling at this time. And answers I have heard, some say this is actually a common standard scenario for people that they visit, so nothing really stands out for them. Some will say when they approach the door and see the damage done and the doorbell wires exposed, they wonder, they're obviously living somewhere where the landlord doesn't maintain the property, doesn't look after it, wonders why it's not fixed. So there's different thoughts going through their mind, but there's really not any negative thoughts that are going through their mind. However, should there be any negative thoughts going through your mind as you're approaching this scenario, I always would say, what would Jesus do or say in these situations and how he would feel? And that helps me to overcome any negative thoughts I might be experiencing. The next scenario is you are in a residential area with nice homes. There's a large SUV parked in the driveway, late model. So again, what are your thoughts going through your mind as you enter this area and you're about to ring the doorbell, knock on the door of someone you're helping? Things I've heard when I've done this presentation in person: the SUV may not belong to the people we are visiting. Being in this home, potentially the person we are helping lives in a basement apartment. Potentially they are living with friends or family members until they get back on their feet. So these are some thoughts going through their minds. Some have said, okay, this is a nice area. Why are we helping someone here? So right there, we're being judgmental. So we want to be non-judgmental. How can we overcome those negative feelings or negative thoughts? What would Jesus do in this scenario? So when someone greets me at the door, how do I respond? I identify myself stating that I am Linda from the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and this is the name of my partner. May we come in to talk to you about how we can help. I also thank the person for inviting us into their home. After COVID, when we started doing home visits again, we were not going directly into the home, but we have since started going back into the homes after a period of time. Just after COVID and we started going back, we would just have a conversation at the door, but now we are going back into the homes again. If no one answers the door, you can leave a note saying that the society was there, but no one was home, and leaving the number for them to call again and arrange another appointment. We do not form a judgment as to why no one was there because we do not know their reason they were not home. An emergency may have come up, which resulted in them not being home. So we will go through a couple more scenarios of when you enter the home. So again, think about what are your thoughts, feelings at this point of the visit, what Vincentian home visit quality might be challenged, and how do you overcome any negative thoughts or feelings. So when you enter the home, you notice there is a bad smell and the home is very untidy with things scattered all over the floor. Clothes are scattered on the floor, over the couch. Table is cluttered with dirty dishes. There's a living room couch that's rough looking and excessively worn. People have said when I've done this presentation in person, some might have a hard time with the bad smell and want to get out as quickly as possible. Some do not want to sit down on the couch if they're invited to sit down. Some are wondering, why can't they at least keep their place clean? Again, if any of your Vincentian home visit qualities are being challenged, what would Jesus say or do? He would not want to rush out because of the bad odor. He would stick with it, have the conversation with the person to be able to help in all possible ways. Myself, when I see the couch that's damaged and in rough shape, I would see, can you use another couch? This one looks really worn. And I would write them a voucher for our store to be able to receive another couch. Another scenario, and again, the same 3 questions. The apartment is well furnished with nice furniture and a large TV with a sound system. You observe pictures of children on a TV stand, and there's a child's piece of art displayed beside an award certificate. So when I go into a home and I see pictures of children or I see any artwork displayed, these are great conversation pieces. Anything you can do to engage the person you are talking to about their children helps them gain trust in you because you're opening up a conversation that they love to talk about. Everybody loves to talk about their children. So great conversation starter. Some people, when I've done this presentation in person, will comment on, well, they have nice furniture and a large TV. Why are they calling us for assistance? Again, we do not know their scenario. We do not know what's happened. Maybe they've just lost their jobs. They used to be able to afford this, but now they're in dire straits, and that's the reason they're calling us. We are non-judgmental, and we would treat them and respond to them as Jesus would. So now starting the conversation. Your opening statement has the potential to set the tone of how the conversation will go. What statement do you start with to introduce why you are there and what you hope to accomplish? I ask by starting, how can we help you today? What are your needs? And I use the word needs versus wants. Ask open-ended questions that require more than a yes or no response. Your conversation is important to build trust and also to learn more about the individual, the family you are visiting, to know how the society can assist, whether it is through food carts so they can buy groceries, a voucher for clothing, furniture, or household necessities at the St. Vincent de Paul store, maybe guidance for dental assistance or educational assistance, or even recreational assistance for the children. Whenever you can, provide a supportive comment, such as, your place is kept very tidy, or, I like this memento displayed here. Did one of your children make this? Or a supportive comment about something the person has shared with you. This helps to develop that trusting relationship between yourself and the person you are visiting. I strongly recommend that you do not take notes when doing the home visit, as this can be intimidating to the person being visited. Of course, if you are providing a store voucher for items, you will need to write this out during the visit. Consider this neighbor in need. Her outward experience makes you create your own story about her. Stop doing this. Vincentians have a tendency to apply their own lens to a situation. Remind yourself that people are doing the best they can with the information, resources, and perspectives that they currently possess. Guard against attributing motives to someone's behavior without discerning the why behind their behavior. Think of this neighbor again. Have you criticized in your mind a decision she has made? Have you said to yourself, I would never have done that? Maybe I would not have spent money on getting a tattoo. Have we really stopped to put ourselves in her shoes? Have we stopped to consider how her self-esteem would have been affected by circumstances of her past? If we have attributed wrongly any label or characteristic to someone who looks different, it is time to correct that for the sake of the dignity of that person in whom we are to see Christ. So after you have had your conversation and provided the assistance needed, what do you say before leaving? As I leave, I thank them for generously inviting us into their home, and I let them know when they are able to call again should they require assistance. If they are going through a particularly difficult time, I will ask if I can pray for them, or I will say, I will keep you in my prayers, depending on the conversation that took place during the visit. When I have done this presentation in person, some people have said they will actually ask to pray with the person while they are there. So that's also a possibility. But again, you need to be guided by how the visit and how the conversation has gone up until that point. After the visit, reflect upon the visit and ask yourself some questions. How did you feel about going on this visit? What did you find exciting or interesting? Or what did you find especially difficult or challenging? What touched your heart? Reflect on where you found God's presence in the visit, in the person visited, in your partner, and in yourself. What information do you retain? My conference has a database that tracks information, which includes the number of adults and the number of children, whether the person is on some type of assistance, government assistance, whether the family has immigrated from another country, and also the amount of food card assistance provided on a specific date. All members doing home visits have access to the database, so they are aware of the circumstances prior to providing help, which is very beneficial. If you keep paper records, ensure they are properly stored and only collect necessary information to abide with privacy laws. Now, my home conference, we help families with children every 6 weeks, and households with adults can call every 12 weeks. We provide $35 for the first person, plus $10 for each additional person, up to a maximum of $100. Conferences need to determine the amount of assistance they will provide based on their financial resources. And after the visit, we pray for the family either privately with my partner or as a conference. It is also recommended that you share home visit stories at your conference meetings, especially those that were particularly challenging or especially rewarding. Now, I have been asked, what information do you collect when doing a first visit? At my home conference, we use an outreach application, which we ask to be completed by someone who calls us for the first time to understand their income and expenses and needs. The person who picks up the messages reaches out and emails this outreach application, which is completed and emailed back before that first visit is made. This application is very similar to section 9.25, which is a home visitation form located on the National Council website under the Operations Manual. And there is a link right here to that form, which I will click on. And I guess it won't open, but that is the link. Again, National Council website, ssvp.ca, and you go to the Operations Manual, and it's 9.25, where you will find that home visitation form. You will sometimes experience a situation where your Vincentian values are challenged. So in this scenario, a family seeks help every 3 months. They have 6 children. They appear to have sufficient income through Ontario Works, which is a government assistance program in Ontario, the child tax credit, and other government support. What do you do? Well, again, we are non-judgmental, but we want to provide assistance. So we want to delve a bit deeper to try and understand the situation of this family and why they continue to call for assistance. There may be a reason you are not aware of. Perhaps medication is needed, which is costly, reducing the amount they have remaining for food. I remember one family that we visited at my home conference, and 2 of the children were in post-secondary education. And additional money was needed to provide for their post-secondary education, which resulted in why they needed assistance for food on a regular basis. So it's important to delve deeper and understand the reason they are calling for assistance and why their expenses are more than their revenue. So when faced with a challenging situation, always ask yourself, if Jesus was your partner making this home visit, how do you feel he would handle the situation? What responses would he use? What questions would he ask? And let this guide you through any challenging moments. What was accomplished by your visit? The family likely benefited financially and or materially from your visit. How else did the family benefit from the visit? Probably through friendship, social interaction, for someone who's living alone. And how did the home visit strengthen your spiritual relationship? It is important to be aware of the other resources available in your community so that if something comes up during a visit, you might be able to recommend another resource as needed. For example, maybe the individual you visited shared a story where they need legal assistance. So if you're familiar with resources in your community, you could refer them to a legal resource within the community. So during this presentation, we covered what is a home visit. We talked about doing a quality home visit. We talked about the essential qualities necessary in doing home visits. And we talked about some home visit scenarios and the essential qualities that might be challenged and how to overcome these negative thoughts. So thank you so much for your time and listening to this presentation. If you have any questions at all, feel free to please reach out to me. My email address is linda.dollard@ssbp.ca, and I hope that you found this presentation helpful. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.